Hi guys, so today we're going to look at colour and colour palettes. So my last video we talked about choosing a colour palette and I talked about my favourite colours here and why I love them and how to mix them and things like that. So you can go back and check that one out. But today, like for this video, we're going to talk about different color palettes, choosing a palette and what that will do to your artwork. So you know, we all have our favorite colors and colors that we gravitate towards, but what will happen, for example, if I have this type of a color palette here, see if I can get all the sparkle. So what will happen if I have this type of a color palette here with the sparkle and the brights as well, and then if I do the same kind of painting with this color palette, which is from my handmade watercolors there, or if I do the same sort of painting with this color palette, which is from the Daniel Smith Primatech range, which is sort of more earthy colors. So I thought that would be interesting. You can see here, like even here, I've done these roses here with the handmade watercolors versus I've done this rose here with like neon bright watercolors, and these ones here with bright watercolors. So it can really affect the way that your paintings, you can see there's like another kind of palette that I'm working on that I really like, a lot of these mixes, and this is mixing a lot of sparkle colors with some really earthy colors like violet porphyry and thulite and French clay, pink pipestone, with some neon colors and some holographic colors. Yes, so we are going to, you know, you can even see here the two different flowers and how they're going to come out. So you can see here, like here's some daffodils that I've done with, again, the more earthy colors. I used gold, I used let's see, what did I use? Gold, French ochre, and the violet porphyry, I think. And you can see the difference. I'm just going to find something in my old book here. Okay, so there is one poor little daffodil that was struggling, but you can see the difference there. Like that's a bright lemon yellow, and then versus these colors, which give a whole different sort of effect and you know, show something different. Like even this palette, the sort of moody blues and the lilacs and lavenders, was not necessarily something that is my palette. And I'm kind of trying to depict some ballerinas there doing Swan Lake, but you can see, like, just choosing the colors is going to depend on what the sort of final product looks like and how it feels. So we're going to do sort of a different version of the Statue of Liberty today, and I think even if I, you know, so even if I repainted this, I mean, I painted this a couple of years ago. If I repainted this today, I would probably do a lot of things differently. So it would be interesting, but we're going to just paint a tiny little replica of this because it's one of my favorite memories. When we first got to New York, we drove across the Lincoln Bridge. I think it's the Lincoln. It's the middle bridge. It's really nice entering New York from the Lincoln Bridge from New Jersey, because you get a really beautiful sort of view of the skyline and the lights. It's really, really like magical. And one time we were just sitting on the way onto the bridge, and the sky was lavender, and the Statue of Liberty was shining emerald green. It was so pretty. So, you know, I don't think I captured that very well, but, you know, my skill level was still, and I guess it still is, but anyway, what I'm trying to say is let's do some of this and see what we get. And so all throughout my sketchbooks, sort of looking at different color palettes is sort of a common theme. Like you can see these roses in different color studies. Like they're not finished pieces, they're just color studies, but you can see the difference that creates in the piece. So that is what we're going to do. And you can see there, like you introduce brighter colors. So it's something I really enjoy, actually, looking at the different colors and how they will perform for you. And I do really enjoy sort of using, you know, doing the same sort of subject and doing different, like you can see even there the purples versus the pinks. So okay, you can see here, even like here is a Luna moth, again like unfinished verses. So here are some moths in a slightly more moody color palette or more earthy color palette. So, and actually it's been really nice this week. So Amy Rosegeddon on Instagram has been doing a art along, and then also Helen Deltry has been doing an art along. So it's been really nice, especially this week with everything going on. Yeah, so you can check either of those two out and follow along, you know, with their art prompts each day. Okay, so let's get into filming the last video. On this one I have lost my brush, so we're going to use this little angular shader, and I've also in the move lost my favorite Escoda number 6 somewhere, so I'll just use this one for today, and I think it'll give us a nice amount of coverage. I'm probably not going to go through the whole process of each one of these on camera. I'm just going to do sort of snippets of it, and you'll be able to see what's going on, you know, from that. So here are the kind of images that I took from. And so hopefully you can see here, I just did like a very basic shape here. So to sketch it out, so it's a very basic shape here, a basic shape here, you've gone across here. I've done a few sort of up and down buildings. We have the Empire State. So yeah, we have, you know, the main building, and then all of the side buildings, a couple over here, and then the sort of star shape and the Statue of Liberty here. And it's a very loosely sketched, a couple of ships in the water. And so we're just going to see what the different palettes will create. First up we have, this is my travel palette. It's in an enamel palette. I got this off Amazon on sale, and then it actually was for tubes, and I got my brother to pull the tube part out so I could just stuff it with paint. So did go a bit wonky, closes a little bit wonky, and the bottom's a bit wonky, but I really enjoy the strength of this palette and the quality of it. So I like to have this for on the go. So okay, let's just get into this. So we're going to do some really light washes and paint the whole thing on camera. I'm just going to have a little go, and then I'll kind of show you what I'm doing. But I think first I'm just going to kind of water, just so you can kind of see a bit of technique here. I'm going to put some water in the water before I add any colour, and this will just help the paint to sort of move where I want it to. I'm going to cover it over the ships. We can come back to those. Okay, so then I'm going to grab some colour. Okay, I'm not even on. So I'm grabbing some colour and I'm just sort of gently letting that move on there like water. Now if I want a specific time of day, which I'm not too sure about yet, I'm thinking, but I'm not sure, so I'm just gonna see how this goes. And again, so I'm doing this in kind of a very loose, like a urban sketcher style. I'm trying to look through the phone and paint, so I don't think this is going to go that well. I might have to and then if I don't look through the phone, you lose focus. So okay, let's see. I love fuchsia, and it's going to come in really handy for this. Again, so I'm not sure, I might do some shadow over the top of this green and make it a bit less bright. And again, I don't think the whole determine what time of day as well. I think I might do a bit of Potter's pink. Let's see. Okay, so here you can see I've done it with like a traditional brights palette, and now I'm going to start with the handmade watercolor palette. And so again, I'm going to start in the same way, just putting water down on the paper, and I will also have a video up soon about the handmade palette and just swatching that out for you. Okay guys, so that is it. You can see the top one was done with the brights palette, the regular palette. The second one was done with this palette, so it's more neutrals, more earth tones, but again still trying to keep my style of more sort of pastel and loose form. And then here we have the handmade palette, which actually a really it comes out really light, and so you can see I didn't even try to do the Statue of Liberty green. I just did the Thulite and kind of made the shadow there. So you can see, again, these are just quick sketches, but you can see how the colors will make a tremendous impact on how your painting is portrayed and how it comes across. Sorry, how it's conveyed, the emotions that are conveyed, and what people feel when they look at your painting. And so obviously this is an exaggerated version of the palette. You know, we've got the very bright pinks, the bright greens, and I could tone all that down in the palette, but that's just to show you kind of an example of the differences. And the last one is almost more like an antique postcard or something like that. Whereas the middle one is more of a moody one. You know, you're trying to evoke a feeling. Yeah. So I hope this was helpful, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye. And I'm hoping that this will be the next video. It's this gorgeous neon pink. So it's this gorgeous pink. And there you can see the ruby from our last video. I didn't show it very well, but look how beautiful that is. So it goes from sort of a brown to this amazing red. And all these colours was swatched in the I think the first video on the channel.